Okay, good. So today we're going to learn about the peace offering. We'll learn together, and this we're gonna give God certain parts of it, and the Kohen's going to get certain parts of it. So what parts are we going to give God? So it's going to sound like a butcher shop now. So we're going to actually give Hashem the kidneys. The kidneys are going to go to God. We learned this in the chinuch the other day, if you guys remember, that the kidneys somehow cause biologically the person to be a certain kind of emotional tendency. So that it causes you to be the kind of person you are. So somehow your inner organs, maybe they could prove this today scientifically also, but somehow your inner organs are controlling your thoughts and how much control you have over yourself. So remember, we learned in the chinuch, just to share an idea, that's what that portrays. So we're putting that, and when a person sins or so on, or wants to give up his animal, he puts the kidneys on the altar. So kidneys go on the altar. Actually, I saw something fascinating in one of the commentaries, that one of the kidneys is the good kidney and one of the kidneys is the bad kidney. It's very interesting. One makes you think good thoughts and one makes you think bad thoughts. Very interesting, because today everybody's into donating kidney. We actually have a very special person in our class who donated a kidney. But anyway, it just makes it interesting to me that specifically out of the animal, what's going on in the kidney. The other items that go on is the fats. I think goes to the fats. The reason behind that is because fats represents, indulgence and animalistic tendencies, indulgence and so on. And of course, the blood goes on the altar. That represents the soul, because we're giving our life up, our soul up to Hashem. As we see, blood is the life. Just now, today, this is how the funeral, unfortunately, I was at. The person lost too much blood, so the soul's in the blood. And what else is going on there? A little bit of the liver that's connected to it. And then the one more thing is the diaphragm. So that's what we're going to end up giving to Hashem. We're going to take out the diaphragm out of the animal. We're going to take out the fats that's on the intestines, with the intestines, I believe also with the intestines. So again, the intestines, the fats on the intestines, the kidneys, a little bit of the liver and the diaphragm, and that's what's going to go on the altar to Hashem. Then we will give, I believe, a leg and a big chunk of the steak to the kohen, and then the rest of the meat and everything else will go to the person. So here we go. We're going to learn this inside now. You'll see about it inside. And if his sacrifice is a zevach shlamim, is a peace offering, okay? If his sacrifice is a peace offering, which means there's two reasons why it's called a peace. Again, the burnt one, that's obvious why I got the name we learned the other day. It's a burnt offering because it's completely burnt. Why is it a peace offering? Because pieces of it, it creates peace in the world, first of all, because it's a gift to God. So it's creating peace between Hashem and the creations. And number two, second of all, it also gives everybody a piece. The Kohen gets a piece, the altar, Hashem's altar gets a piece, and the owner gets the pieces of it. And therefore, it's called the peace offering. It's called P-E-A-C-E, because it brings peace to everyone, and it brings peace between us and Shemayim, peace between everyone, because everyone's getting a piece of it, and peace between Hashem and our Father in heaven and us. So now, there's always a variety of animals. There's cattle, like larger animals, right? Like a bull or bull. And then there also is a flock, which we're going to talk about, which is the goat and the sheep, which we'll talk about that in a minute. So first, let's deal with the cattle. So in Bakarhu, if he's giving a cattle shlamim offering, makriv im zacher im nekeva, it could be a male, it could be a female, right? It could be either one. Not like the ola, which it had to be a male tamim, but of course it has to be complete. Don't give God any blemished animals, Yaakov l'fnei Hashem, and he should sacrifice it and bring it before God and give this gift to Hashem. The shlamim, this peace offering, is giving to Hashem. And what happens? So what's the procedure? So as we've been talking about all the sacrifices, with verse 2, we go on. The owner puts his hand, he leans forcefully, he says, actually, on his head. You're like designating, you're making this your animal, this your exchange. This is your exchange. You put your animal on the head. And then it has to be slaughtered, and it could be even, I believe, be slaughtered by the owner. The owner himself, he's saying, could slaughter the animal. Where does he slaughter it? By the door to the tent of meeting. So it's in the courtyard, right? As soon as you enter, remember we learned the tabernacle. Outside the tabernacle was the big courtyard. In the courtyard was the altar. So as soon as we learned this in the other day's Chumash, the first 11 amas, like the first 15 feet as you enter from the front door into the courtyard, that was even a non-Kohen could go. That's the only place that they were allowed to go in the courtyard. From there on, it couldn't be only could be a Kohen that will then take over. But here, since you're still within the first 15 feet, 11 amas of the courtyard, the guy himself could slaughter the animal, I believe. However, after that, it goes to the Kohanim, and the Kohanim take the blood, right? They receive the blood from that animal in the cup. And they go and they take the blood in a cup, and we see Rashi is going to say that they're going to splash blood from the cup on all around the altar. And we know already what that means from the previous Chumash. Around the altar means they don't go to all four sides. They go to two corners and they sprinkle it. They throw blood from the cup on the corners of the altar. And by hitting the corner, it goes on two sides, and they walk exactly to the opposite sides, and they sprinkle the blood, and it goes on the other two walls by throwing the blood from the cup on the corner. Now, just want to teach you something. We always use the cup. There's only one sacrifice, just so you know, that we don't use the cup for. What sacrifice is that we don't use the cup for? That sacrifice is the sin offering. The Kohen would actually stick his finger in the cup with blood and sprinkle the blood on the altar. But in yesterday's sacrifice, the burnt offering, and today's sacrifice, the peace offering, you don't need to stick your finger in the cup. The Kohen receives the blood after the slaughter in the cup, and then takes the cup and throws the blood, sprinkles the blood onto the corners of the altar. Firstly, the hikriv mizevach hashlamim. And then he shall bring a fire offering, burn parts of it from this one. We call it a shlamim, which means a peace offering. He's the fire to Hashem. What are we putting on there? I already went through the butcher shop list here. You put on the fats. Which fats? That covers the innards. So innards means like the inside, the intestines, like that, the stomach, the stuff, and that you take the fats that covers them. So I guess not the stomach, the fats on the stomach is what he said. I might have misspoken a few minutes ago in the class. The fats that's on the intestines and all the fats that is on the innards. So what does that mean? It says twice the word innards. So there's a debate exactly which fats. And by the way, this is an interesting question today, because certain fats we're also not allowed to eat in modern animals too. When we want to eat meat, those things that we gave to Hashem on the altar, like the blood and the fats, that's what a Jew is not allowed to eat today. Those things are not allowed to eat. Those things that we're bringing on the altar. It's a debate between two great rabbis, Rabbi Shimon and Rabbi Akiva, if it's also including the fats on the stomach, right? I believe Rabbi Akiva said that, one opinion said that, and the other opinion is that's only the ones on the intestines. So it's a debate here. It's the innard, which part of the innards, which part is the fats that we're not allowed, that has to go on the altar, and that would, I guess, be relevant today. Which fats we're not allowed to eat in today's day and age. So certain fats that's on the innards, meaning the intestines, according to the opinion of the stomach, you cannot eat that fat. That's going on the altar. Continuing on verse 4. Evan, if you could scroll up for us, please. Take us so we can see verse 4. And now here's where he's saying the other parts that's going on. Like I told you, the kidney got to go on. The chinuch told us that that's where the bad thoughts and stuff that people come from. And then with the kidneys, you got to also the fats that's on the kidneys. Also, you put on the altar. Al haksolim, that's on the flanks. You know what? I think that's what flanken is. If you guys heard of flanken, probably that means you do not have to put the flanken on. You could keep the flanken, but the kidneys that with the fats and the kidneys that when the animal walks, the kidneys are on top of the flanken. That fats that's on top of the flanken, though that fats also. By the way, that's the fats we don't eat. That white fats that's on top of the flanken. I believe today also it's prohibited for us to eat it. That's also going to the altar to Hashem. You take off a little bit. I'm sorry. Yeseres and the diaphragm, which is another piece of like protective meat that's around the animal. Ala kave, together with a little bit of ala kloyes, with the whole kidneys. Yesirano, you remove, and that's the altar. So the fats on the kidneys, a little bit of the liver, the diaphragm gets burnt on the altar, and though the only burnt on the altar, nobody doesn't call in or the owner. It's not a lot. I don't think it's a big percentage of the animal. That's the parts that eat it. Okay, let's go to verse 5, Evan. V'hiktir. Thank you, Evan, for doing this for us. Verse 5. V'hiktir. And the sons of Aaron shall burn it on the altar. Now, which means the sacrifice we learned earlier wasn't just broad burnt offering, was not just broad when a person didn't do a positive mitzvah or a person thought to do a bad sin. the burnt offering was actually brought every single day. And we learned, I think, in the Rashi that day, because it can't be possible that the Jewish people don't have a sin among the Jewish people every day. So every single morning and every single afternoon, they would bring this burnt offering sacrifice. And here was the rule. There was a system. There was an order. You had to, the first thing you open up the day of sacrifices was that daily sacrifice. That's why we daven Shachar. So before you want to add any other prayers, like on Shabbos we had Musaf. No. You first daven Shachar, then you go into Musaf. So too, the first sacrifice in the Beis Hamikdash, in the Mishkan, was always the daily burnt offering. So now you want to bring a peace offering, this new offering we're talking about in the Chumash today, you can only bring it after you brought the daily, you did the Shachar. On the fire, and it makes a good smelling, a sweet smell for Hashem. You're going to bring the peace offering after the morning offering. So that's all if you're bringing a cattle. But if you bring a sheep, you got to add one more piece of meat. What's the part of the sheep? I don't know if you guys will agree with this or not. The sheep has a very yummy, delicious tail. The tail, I don't know, maybe someone in the class could agree with that, say that they've had that. But what do they call them? Chops? What's it called in sheep? What's it called? You have lamb chops. So the tail officially of the sheep is the choicest part, and of course you want to give the choicest part to Hashem. The cattle and the goats, they're not going to have good tails, but the sheep has a good tail. So when you bring the sheep, you bring all the above. Yes, you also got to bring the tail on the altar. Let's see that inside now. He's going to go over the list and I'm going to add the tail. And if you want to bring from the flock, so flock means not cattle, not big animals, but small animals. You want to bring, that could be again, Zachar and Nekeva, could be a male or a female, because the gift offering, it could be either one. It should be though complete. You cannot bring a blemished, beat up, to blushit and sahargit, as Rabbi, what's his name says, Rabbi Gordon says in his classes. You got to bring nice stuff when you give the shul donation. It's got to be, you give Hashem a donation. So, by the way, Verrazano Bridge in a minute, so we might have a little problem. I'll be right back. So, if he wants to bring it from the flock, you can bring a male or female in Kazavu. So, what kind of flock? Meaning, what kind of smaller animals you're bringing? It could be a sheep. The hikri of Islifnei Hashem, no problem. You could bring it before Hashem. You just got to remember the one addition, which is going to be the tail. So what do you do? But again, everything has the same procedure. Once you know the procedure, it goes quick. We could just go over quickly the procedure again. The owner first has to put his hands, lean forcefully his hands on the animal, do the leaning process, designating the animal as his designation. And then he could slaughter it right in the courtroom before the door to the mishka, to the tent of meeting. And the kohanim again sprinkle the blood the same around the altar by sprinkling on the corners and the two opposite ends. Okay, Evan, take us to verse number 9, please. Okay, verse number 9. What happens next? And then you will designate your hikriv, your burn. You'll sacrifice from the gift offering, Ishal Hashem, Afarat Hashem. What should you bring? Now we're bringing also Chel Bay Halya, the choicest piece of the sheep. The sheep, you got to also bring the tail. Tmima complete. Got to take off the whole tail part. Umasa Etzem Yasirena. It goes all the way, the complete tail going all the way to the kidneys. All the whole tail going where it goes to the kidneys. That whole tail part, the whole section there. You should remove it. And of course, take off the fats that's on the kidneys, which we spoke about in the earlier animals. Kerev, that's called achelev. And the fat covering the insides, and the fat covering the innards. That whole thing, make sure the fat's just like the other animals move, but here you just got to add the tail, which takes place. And of course, also you got to add the two kidneys. The fats that's on the kidneys, the fats that's on the flanken, and the diaphragm, together with a little bit of the liver, surrounded with the kidneys, you should remove it. The kohen should make it go up in a fire as a food offering to Hashem. And Rashi says, of course, it's not food. God doesn't eat the stuff, but it's our commitment of food in the name of Hashem. For the sake of Hashem, we're giving up this stuff to Hashem. And finally, there's one more kind of small animal, verse 12, which is not a sheep. This is a goat, and the goat again doesn't have that tail, so the goat is going to be exactly like large animals. And if it's a goat, he should dedicate it, sacrifice it before Hashem. Evan, keep on going to verse 13. We are almost done. Take us to verse 13, please, Evan. Thank you. And again, same procedure. The Kohen puts his hands on the head, and he splatters it before the tent of meeting. And the Kohanim sprinkle the blood all around the altar. Remember, because they do it by the two corners and two opposite sides. And they burn this sacrifice to Hashem. The same idea, the fats that covers the innards, all the fats that covers the innards. And remember, we learned to debate if that means what exactly does it mean? Does it mean also the stomach? With the fats on the stomach, but everyone agrees. Take the two kidneys, the fats on the kidneys, the fats that's on top of the flanken. You sit on together with the diaphragm, together with a little bit of the liver. You should remove it and put it on the altar. You should burn it on the altar. It should be everlasting. In all your areas. Do not a Jew, what makes an animal kosher? If you want to go to ShopRite and buy kosher meat, you want to go to Wegmans, you want to go to Yisrael's, what's the place called Seasons? You want to get there, you're not allowed to eat the fats and the blood. That's going to Hashem. You're sprinkling the blood on the altar, you're putting the fats on these sections of fats and these fire. And here, something interesting, the verse says, I looked this up in the commentary today. It says, this is for everlasting statute. So he said, so the commentary said, what do you mean it's everlasting statute? It's trying to tell you an interesting law that even when you don't have a base of Mikdash, you're still not allowed to eat the fats and the blood. Because you might argue and say, look, maybe I'm not allowed to eat the fats and the blood because it was brought on the altar. So today there's no sacrifices. Maybe I am allowed to eat it. So the Torah clearly says it's for a statute for all generations in verse 17, telling you that a Jew is never allowed to eat it. So if you want to know what makes an animal kosher, not the shaykhs we're talking about here now, the butcher has to know how to butcher your meat. He has to know how to cut it up to make it kosher. You can eat the flanken, you can eat all different pieces of steak, but you got to salt it from the blood, which they do in the slaughterhouse, and you also have to take off the fats from these parts. Any questions or comments on today's
it's good for the cholesterol, Rabbi. You see, always the Jewish religion is perfect. It's good.
Yeah. It's funny. I was trying to look up pictures of animals before to share with you guys, like we do show and tell of what exactly is the flanken, what exactly are the kidneys, where is the liver. Anyway, I'm looking online and I see like all the steak lovers out there. It tells you like which parts of meat are from which parts of the animal. The guys who know their meat. I'm sure people in the class, I don't know too well all these different stuff, but you can see this online, all the cute, interesting, different kinds of pieces of meat there are. Yes, Shuki, very good for your cholesterol. This is the Atkins diet that we're talking about over here.
Exactly. I don't know why the American people don't like liver. It's the best thing that they ever had. With like liver with onion and mashed potato is the best food I ever had in my life. American people don't like it. I don't understand.
I don't know. You know what? I don't know what it is, but it probably sounds scary to me. I don't know why. Okay, cool.
It's very high cholesterol, but I agree. It's very good. But if you have one portion of liver, it throws off the amount of fat that you're supposed to have like in one day.
So I eat it once a month.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, you don't have to worry. You don't have to worry about this because you're not a Kohen. This is like Yehuda's got to worry about this. And David. No, I'm kidding. We should all maybe next time we have a barbecue, we'll get a little flanken.
Oops. Oof. You okay?
We're okay. Okay, we just hit a cone. Okay. Now we're good. Right. Okay, can you guys hear me? Give me a second. Yes. I'm just going over the bridge. Hang on 1 second.
No problem.
Shuki, do we have insurance on my car?
Yes, no problem. You're all covered. Put the
you don't want to insure us. If we're not...
You can put him to talk to me. Don't worry.
Good customers. Okay, good.
You guys okay?
Hang on 1 second. Yeah. Okay. We're good. I'm going to show you the bridge. If you want to see, we're on the Verrazano Bridge right now.
Okay.
I'm just waiting to go over. I know there's not good service here. Hang on 1 second. And then we'll get started with Tanya.
Rabbi, I'm on the other side. Let me show you how it looks on the other side. 1 second.
Show me.
Hold on.
Let me see.
Say hello to each other.
Are you really on the other side?
Yeah, you're going to hear a lot of traffic right now, Rabbi.
Yeah, we already went through the
I
traffic.
flip my camera.
Just
be
drive
careful.
safe.
I don't have video on. 1 second.
I see you now, Yehuda. There's a police report ahead on my wife's camera, so be careful. I already got a ticket on this bridge before. Oh my gosh. Okay, are you literally on the bridge now? We're both on the bridge at the same time?
I am getting on the bridge and you're coming off. So what I was trying to show you is that 1 second. Oh, now I could do it. Look. That's the other side.
Oh yes, you are on the bridge.
No, I'm getting close to it, but that's the other side. That's where you're gonna be in a minute, Rabbi.
Okay,
No,
cool.
he showed you the traffic. He showed you the traffic. But you should cut it.
Okay, I hope I have
Josh
insurance
Bieber just
also.
shared a picture.
You do have
Can we
insurance,
share
but you
Josh's
guys,
picture?
you all cover. No problem. You all cover. Give them my phone number. Rabbi, if there's a lot of traffic, you can cut through Island Boulevard. You know,
What'd
you
you
can cut
say?
all the. If there's a lot of traffic, you can cut through Clove Road or Island Boulevard. You can go through the streets. You know, if there's a lot of traffic.
Bro, it's not traffic. They just stand there.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay, guys. Should we go to Tanya, guys? You ready for Tanya? I'm off the bridge.
Let's do it.
We good.
Okay, let's do it. Oh, Evan is on it. Sheesh, Evan, you're right.